My name is Annette Robb, and I like cleaning big messes. The bigger the mess, the happier I am. Now, this is the third occasion that I'm in my dad's house this year, and here is what we are starting with. We are concentrating on the bedroom today, and I want to do a bit of work in the living area as well. He has a very compact studio apartment, or flat as we call them in the UK, and we're dealing with a bit of mold here, as you can see. We have a fair bit of clutter. I have spent considerable time in this bedroom already. We're kind of halfway there at this point. So this is the halfway point. We've got a lot of cobwebs, we've got a lot of stuff, and we've got a floor that needs a clean, some mold that needs attention, and some boxes that need sorting. And this area is the area that we've already tackled. So you will see no cobwebs in this area because I tackled this on my last visit. So I'm just showing my handiwork from before. I hope you're impressed. The other thing that I would like to tackle, so this is the main living area. This is my dad's hobby area. He describes his flat as a shed with a bed. Those are his words, not mine. We tackled the kitchen. The kitchen, believe it or not, is considerably better. There is a bit of clutter creeping back in there, but it is way cleaner and way clearer than where we started before my first visit. The other thing I want to tackle is this window because I didn't get around to it my last visit and it is bugging me. There are so many cobwebs on this window. Oh my goodness. And look, my graduation picture, that needs to be shined up surely. So we will tackle this. I'm not sure what we'll be able to do with the mold today, but I think at least a clean is what we can manage. So we are starting out in the bedroom area. So as I say, this is my third visit this year. I have just under 4 hours today. I have an unexpected midweek day off without children. And this is how I've chosen to spend it. And I'm very happy about this. So we are starting with clutter. If you start to get overwhelmed in an area, and this is true for us all, right? This is what happens to me when I start to feel like I have mess upon mess to clear up. And I clear up a mess, and the next day the mess is back. I need to stop cleaning. I need to start decluttering. And it took me ages to work this out, like years to work this out. After I had my first baby, I started to feel really overwhelmed in my house. We had at the time a 2-bed end terrace house, and with 3 of us living in there should have been plenty of space. It's just 2 grown-ups and 1 baby, right? But as soon as our first child came into our lives, we quickly got overwhelmed. We had suddenly significantly less time to keep on top of our stuff. And we had a lot more stuff enter our house like babies. They bring a lot of stuff with them. It's not just the cot and the buggy. There's bouncers and there's play mats and there's toys and there's changing areas. And there's a whole heap of stuff that you buy in a panic at 3 a.m. in the morning when you're not sleeping and you're like, this will make my baby sleep. And suddenly you have so much stuff. And all of our cupboards were already full. So when we got all this baby stuff in our house, there was no room for it. And I tried everything. I was cleaning as much as I possibly could. I had a very Velcro baby, but I was doing as much as I could. And then I remember hiring a cleaner to come and do a once over in the house. We didn't really have the budget to have a cleaner then. And I thought, well, we'll just try it and we'll just see. And I thought it was going to be this kind of going to revolutionize our house. And the cleaner came and she did a great job. But by the next day, it was just as messy. And I stumbled upon a YouTube video. It was actually, I think, the Minimal Mum who I stumbled upon. And she was talking about clutter. She was talking about feeling overwhelmed. And it just a light bulb went off in my head. And I realized I have too much stuff. The problem is not that I don't have a cleaning routine, although I didn't really have a cleaning routine. That wasn't the problem. It wasn't the cleaning. It was I had too much stuff. And then I went down a rabbit hole of watching a load of decluttering videos, reading a load of books, trying every method, the Marie Kondo, everything. And I did eventually manage to start making life a bit easier, but I never managed to complete that process on my own house. So anyway, going off on a tangent, we're in my dad's house, but it's very true for my dad's house. He's struggling to keep on top of things. I mean, I think he would say cleaning is not his priority. He is more interested in his hobbies, of which he has many, but it would make his life a lot easier and keeping his house tidier a lot easier if he had less stuff. And really, the primary thing that I want to focus on today in this clean is getting proper access to his shower room. So the configuration of his flat is a bit odd, but when you come in the front door, you're into the main kind of living area. You have a kitchen area off that. To the right, where I am stood now, is a bedroom. And then if I were to walk forward, there's a little kind of passageway that leads down to a shower room. There's a shower and a sink there. Now you head back out into the living area and you go to the left, and there is like a small area where we have a fridge freezer, and then to the right hand side go through a door and there is a loo and a sink. So there's not one bathroom together, even though this is a small space. It's weird. It's like a small bathroom split in two on two different sides of the flat. So my dad does not have easy access to the shower room, and I want to make sure by the end of today we have clear access to that shower room. Then that will make it easier for him to use that, because at the moment he has to move stuff in order to have a shower. Now, when I came a couple of years ago to help him out, then he had sudden heart failure. He was in hospital. He was in a very critical condition, and I came in to do a tidy up as much as I possibly could of the flat to get it livable for him to be back in where he was convalescing. At that point, he didn't have access to the shower room. Like, it was, you couldn't really get down the channel at all. And the shower room was full of model helicopters and planes, which was his favorite hobby at the time. So not only did he have to move everything from the passageway to get to the shower room, he then had to move a load of stuff out of the shower room. So as you can imagine, that doesn't make it very conducive to regular showering. I mean, he was showering, but it wasn't easy for him to shower as regularly as he really should have been. Look at this sock and the cobwebs and the dust that I found at the back of that chest. Oh my goodness. So we're in a better position than we were like 2 years ago, way, way better. And it's way easier for him to shower, but there's still stuff in the way, and there should be anything in the way, right? So here is this kind of passageway that I was talking about. So we have this unit. He has a lot of stuff in it, mostly hobby stuff. I should say that since my last visit, my dad has been very busy. The mere fact that we have light in this bedroom, because I forgot to bring my light for this clean, and I was like, oh my goodness, there's no light. It's going to be really hard to clean. I'm not going to be able to see anything. And my dad turned the light on. Well, we couldn't do that last time I visited. The light did not work. So he has changed the light switch. It was a switch that needed changing. So light fitting is the same. He changed the switch. And he cleared out the two cupboards, two drawers rather, under the bed. So as you see, when I pulled those out a minute ago, they were clear, just a couple of envelopes in one. So he's got rid of, he had a load of wood in them, which he was using for various hobbies. So he tidied those up, and he has been working on various bags and boxes in the flat from my last visit. So I'm very pleased with that. Little and often, this is the way forward. My dad has various complex health conditions, a very serious heart condition. He has type 2 diabetes, and a whole host of other fun things. He's had a knee replacement in the recent past, and that does not 100% successful. So he has a variety of health issues to contend with. And that is, all the more common as we get into our older years and we suffer with health struggles, and really important for us to get on top of the flat for him as well. So what I'm doing here, and when I'm doing anything, my own house or my dad's house, I'm aiming to sort of start putting things into categories. So as I'm tidying, I put things into categories, and then I have better sight of how much we have of a category so that we can choose where we're going to put it. And we're also going to think about how often we're using things. So when I came in here last and I had a look around, I thought that my dad had managed to get on top of the mold. I mean, he's been trying to get on top of the mold, but I just hadn't moved the pillows. So the mold was actually, as I remembered it from previous visits, not so great. And when I moved the pillows and I investigated them further, had a look inside, I found that there was mold on the pillows. So I was like, well, we can't have that. We absolutely cannot be sleeping on a pillow with mold on it. That's really bad for our health. And there were a couple of spare pillows that I found. So with my dad's consent, we got rid of the moldy pillows. I haven't put them exactly on top of the mold, so don't panic there. And I'm going to have a little cleanup of the mold. We had a chat about that. My dad had some mold killer. He really didn't want to use it on this visit. He said it was so powerful, it really affects his lungs. And it's a cold day. That's why I'm wearing this big jumper. He'd have had to have the windows open. He said he wouldn't be able to sleep in the bedroom for 24 hours because the smell is so bad. And it's obviously right by where his head is at the bed. So he was like, please, can we do this when the weather is a bit nicer? We can have all the windows open and the door open, properly ventilate it. And then we'll do it like early one morning. We can ventilate it and I can get back in the bedroom at night. So one thing I wish I had done is bring something which was perhaps, less toxic to deal with the mold. So something which is really good for dealing with mold, for killing mold spores, is distilled white vinegar. That is really good at killing mold. So you can use a bleach as well. Obviously, that's not great as well on the lungs, but you can use distilled white vinegar. That doesn't smell particularly pleasant. Can't get my words out, but it is not so harmful for you for your lungs. But he didn't want to do anything like that. So my aim is going to be to simply clean the mold with some regular household cleaner so that we get those kind of active mold spores out. It won't kill the mold though, so the mold will start to grow again over time, but we'll come back and we'll tackle that. The weather is improving, spring is springing, so it won't be long before we can get back in there and tackle that mold properly. Once we've killed the mold properly, then we can paint with a special mold paint to help stop it from coming back. And then we can paint the room. The room desperately needs a bit of a paint job, bit of decorating. So this wall is not an external wall. This doesn't, this actually, the wall that the mold is on, it's to, there's another flat on the other side of there. So, but there are issues with ventilation. The windows are very old. They're not great. And there's a lot of condensation in them. As soon as we clean them, the condensation comes back. Really, we need new windows, but there's not budget for new windows. Heating situation isn't great, which is another factor which affects our ability to stop the mold. We really need a nice, warm, toasty room, and then we need to have a dehumidifier, a little dehumidifier in there going. So dehumidifiers do not work well in cold rooms, and we have dehumidifiers. I can't say it. We have dehumidifiers in my house. So we have a big dehumidifier in our utility room where we dry clothes. We use a tumble dryer lots to dry. So especially in the winter, so that we are getting the condensation like straight out, or the fluid straight out. And we have two small dehumidifiers, one in the main bedroom and one in my son's bedroom. We don't need one in my daughter's bedroom because her bedroom is part of an extension and the ventilation is just so much better in there. We don't have the same issue with condensation. But we don't have a working heater in my dad's bedroom. I did talk to my dad about that. So he uses an electric blanket in his bed before he goes to sleep to like warm up his bed, and then he turns it off when he gets in. He has a heater in his main living area, and he says, well, I don't want to heat the bedroom. I don't need to heat the bedroom because I don't really spend any time in there. I just sleep in there, and I have my electric heater for my bed, and that works really well. So he doesn't particularly want a heater in there. So we're kind of in this, cycle of a lack of a solution here. But I do think having new windows would help, and that's something I think we can save up for and think about for the near future. So there are, any other tips or ideas, let us know. And I mean, I'm always interested to hear for tips when it comes to condensation and damp, because I also struggle with it in my house. So we've tackled quite a lot in this space of time that I've been chatting away, and my dad's been in the background helping me to make some decisions, having a look through things together, and then I have been bringing stuff out from that passageway, from this unit. I'd love to get rid of this unit. We talked about it. We very nearly got rid of this unit here. Now look how much better it's looking. And this is how much stuff we cleared in that time. So much stuff. Again, I'm so proud of my dad. He was making really good decisions. He had been thinking about what he wanted to get rid of. A lot of the stuff there that he didn't actually remember. It wasn't until we were going through things. A lot of rubbish there, stuff that we can recycle. I had a slot booked at our local recycling refuse centre. I took everything straight there. The electronics that were working were taken to a different section to be reused, actually like properly recycled. So they did not go to waste. We've got an old tent, we've got bags, we've got some glass, we've got some cardboard, we have a metal case here, which used to store something, doesn't have anything in now. Loads and loads of stuff kind of heaped up here, ready to go. So I'm really proud of my dad. That is a massive, massive effort there. And here is what the bedroom is looking like now before any real cleaning. So the next step is to do some cleaning, but we've got access here down to the shower room. I'm pleased to say there's nothing in it that shouldn't have been in it. It does need a clean. That's going to have to be for another day. It wasn't too bad, just dusty really. So we're going to concentrate on the bedroom, and my next job is to tackle these really massive cobwebs. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos, the video where I decluttered my shed, you will know I'm not a big fan of spiders. Small spiders or the skinny spiders, I can kind of handle them. The big spiders, the big whoppers, the thick black ones, I'm not good with those. I'm really not good with those. And I have found some big spiders in my dad's flat before. When I went to clean like a couple of years ago, I found some whoppers. I threw some clothes out the front door with said whopping spider in, shrieking hysterically in front of the neighbours. And I'm not proud of that. But I wouldn't say I wouldn't even say I have a massive fear of spiders, but it's just like they seem to creep up on you, don't they? They really make me jump. So I bought my feather duster this time, and what I've cut out is the time that basically this is getting full of cobwebs. So I keep having to go out the front door and like give the feather duster a good smack on the door to get all of the dust off. And what I'm doing is basically like rolling it so that I'm wrapping the cobwebs around it. So what I don't want to do is like knock too many down. But we start up high when we are cleaning so that if we do knock stuff down onto the ground, we can like hoover it up, tidy it up as we go. And then my aim was actually to wash down all of the walls. But what I found very quickly was the paint was coming off. Like the paint was coming off. And you see here, revealing the yellow paint underneath. And I had these magic sponges. My idea was I was going to wash down all the walls and I was going to go across like any particular big marks and scratches with the magic sponges. And then I realized I was just going to make it look worse. I was already making it look worse. So my dad does want to paint in there, but I don't want to leave him with really patchy walls. I want to make it look better. So I thought, do you know what? Just stop. I've tackled the cobwebs. That's good enough. And I can give the walls a wash down before we paint. But for now, I'm going to leave that. And I decided to use magic sponges to try to get some of this mold off. And I was pleasantly surprised, actually, I think in part because the paint came off, that I managed to tackle quite a lot of this mold using these magic sponges. And it looked a lot better, and that will temporarily at least improve the situation for my dad. He won't have his head right on loads of active mold spores. We've reduced, the amount there, but it will grow back because we haven't killed it. So there's also a patch just in this kind of corner here that you can't see. That also came off pretty nicely. So an improvement. I left that to dry after I had cleaned as much of the mold as possible, and I changed the water a couple of times as well during this. I've just cut that time out so you don't have to watch me, or basically watch nothing, while I am refilling a bucket. Um, but yeah, this came up actually surprisingly well. So who'd have thunk it? I do also have some mold to tackle in my own house. So we have a little bit of mold coming up in the ensuite, on our ceiling of our ensuite bathroom, where I had used some like preventative mold paint on a strip like nearest to the window, and then it obviously wasn't enough. I should have just done the whole ceiling. So that's one of the jobs I'm going to have to do. It's not as bad as in my dad's, But before it gets to that point, I want to tackle it. And I think that's the thing. If you notice mold, you have to get on top of it really quickly. And sometimes you don't notice it. Sometimes it creeps up like behind furniture. Not having furniture in, like, if you've got a cold, damper house, if you have a lot of condensation on your windows, expect there to be damp in your house. Then you have to make sure that your furniture isn't pushed right up against walls. You don't have a lot of stuff. That's something that I'm guilty of. Like, if you have a lot of stuff in cupboards, in lofts, in rooms, air is just not going to circulate very well. So that really impacts the ability to keep your home mold free. Reducing the amount of possessions that you have, making sure that there is space for air to circulate, opening your windows every day to get air circulating even on cold days, keeping your house nice and toasty while you run a dehumidifier, because dehumidifiers work best in warmer rooms. And that's because it just encourages the dampness, to actually circulate in the air rather than clinging to cold windows. So you also use a window vac in the mornings to vac our windows to get the water off, so we can tip that down the sink. And that's something that my dad actually could potentially benefit from. Look at the murk coming off these windows, man. That I went through, I think, 4-5 buckets of water, and I didn't do a perfect job. So here, when I'm cleaning, I'm not doing a perfect job. Like, I didn't do a perfect job of the walls. I didn't do a perfect job of the windows. The aim here is just to tackle the worst. That's all. Because we still have quite a lot to do in this flat. We have a lot of decluttering to do. My dad is aware of that. We need to work on that main living area. Then I'd like to do another go around the kitchen. And then once we're in a position where we've like fully decluttered, every room is minimized as far as we can practically get it, as far as we can sort of comfortably get it for my dad, then we can go around doing a deeper clean, and then we can start thinking about some decorating. Hopefully that will coincide with summertime. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to decorate the living room area, because I'm not sure that my dad will like how he'll feel about moving his hobby stuff, or if that is even practical. But what I think we absolutely can do is the bedroom. We can probably do some work in the kitchen, and possibly in the loo area, the shower area. That there is stuff that we can do. The lights, I really wanted to tackle these lights. I was really happy to tackle these lights, but I realized standing there for a little while that the new lights are bright. So we had to turn those off. Otherwise, I was just going to end up getting stars in my eyes. So, in an ideal world, we'd have a new light fitting, but it works really well. And that's all my dad needs. I think really, my dad is not bothered particularly about aesthetics. He just wants to live comfortably, concentrate on his hobbies, see his pals. His main hobbies are stargazing. And if you're wondering what all the gesticulating is from me, I was talking about watching I can't remember the name of the chap, the amazing athlete who recently broke the world record for the men's marathon time. So just a smidge under 2 hours, which just blows my mind. So that's what I was talking to my dad about. Because if you follow me for a little while, you know that I am running, or at least run walking. And I'm actually due to run a marathon in 4 weeks. It'll be my first marathon in 10 years. My first marathon since having kids. I am a slow runner. I actually walk in 30-second intervals, and I'm just aiming to finish. But if I can finish under 6 hours, that'd be amazing. But the idea in that time that this particular athlete could run basically 3 marathons just blows my mind. The speed of these people is insane. I am running a half marathon this Sunday. It is a race, but I'm not racing. I'm not aiming for a time. I'm just aiming to complete it. I'm aiming to stick to kind of my marathon pace. So I'd like to complete it in around 2 hours 40. That would be good. And there's no way I can do the same again for a second. By that point, I'll be absolutely exhausted. So somehow, when it comes to marathon time, I'm gonna have to pull that out again, which I have no idea how I'm going to do this. And it definitely won't be doing a 240 marathon twice over. But oh my goodness, look at these cobwebs. Now, I seem to have stopped I don't film absolutely everything. So I filmed for 4 hours and tried to cut that footage down. I film on my phone as well. So I don't use a fancy camera. I literally use my iPhone. And that's what I'm doing my voiceover on as well. I have a nicer mic. That's one thing I did treat myself to in the Black Friday sales at the end of the year. I treated myself to a nice mic. But yeah, you missed basically the footage of me shrieking like a baby when a big black spider poked out underneath my bowl. So at some point he had hidden under my bucket. I'd obviously disturbed him because, quite frankly, I'm knocking down his lovingly created cobwebs that he spent a lot of time on. And it could have been a she, I don't know, but I always think of spiders as he's. And yeah, oh man, it got me good. And I leapt off the sofa, nearly taking my bucket with me, and my dad had to come and scoop him up and rehome him outside. So yeah, that was fun. And it really, once I see a big spider like that, it really puts me on edge because I'm so conscious that there might be more. Ah, ugh. But yeah, the windows are not great. And also because I missed that footage, and I missed I clearly thought I was recording because I didn't catch the beginning of me hoovering. At this point, my dad's saying to me, "You don't really have time for this, Natalie. You need to get to the tip." And we both had school runs to do because he looks after my niece. He picks her up from school and looks after her for a couple of hours most days before my brother finishes work. So you missed that, but my Hoover was empty when I brought it over. I had emptied it before I came to Dad's, and you've seen I already had it completely full and had emptied it once, and then I emptied it again, and then there was a little bit more in it when I left. So over 2 full containers. So wow, yeah, my dad was shocked by that because he does Hoover, and he does have a Hoover, but it's a very old Hoover. My Hoover is a pretty new Hoover. Mine is a Shark corded one, and I am finding this better than the cordless Hoovers that I've had. Definitely is a bit more powerful. It also has a really powerful setting. I'm using it on the most powerful setting. And here is basically a reminder. This is a reminder. Don't worry, we haven't got back in time. Cobwebs and all. This is what we started with on this particular day. Lots of cobwebs. Look at that light. I was absolutely thick with dust. So many cobwebs hanging down here. And I mean, there's got to be some spiders in this room, haven't there? But well, so far, they've stayed in their hiding places. Mold here that we are dealing with, a lot of stuff and a lot of dust on top of that unit. And too much stuff in this passageway to get to the shower without having to move stuff, without having to push things out of the way. And that is not acceptable. We cannot live like this. And here is the window in the living area. Again, with some monster cobwebs. Oh my goodness. And a monster spider. So you don't get monster cobwebs without having a monster spider, unfortunately. Probably many spiders cohabiting with my dad. They're basically his friends now. They don't bother him, but they bother me. But here's the window afterwards. So the mold here didn't really, I didn't really manage to tackle that. But the condensation comes back as soon as you finish in here because it's a bit cold, but it looks so much better. So much muck came off that window. And this room is looking way better. There was thick dust on that curtain rail. There was so much muck on that window. And then we have got rid of a lot of stuff in this area, and the mold, and I'm leaving the pillow away so that fully dries, because you can see it's not fully dry. The mold is looking way better there. We got rid of pretty much everything from this unit. We cleaned that up. We cleared all of the cobwebs, had a really good tidy here, and I think we can come up with a much better unit for this space. But for now, we'll carry on using it, but there's a lot of redundant space in there that we don't, we're not using. So I think we can do better there. I'm just not 100% sure on what. And the carpet is looking lots better. I have a carpet cleaner. We can bring that another time. We can get that looking even better. But yeah, we got rid of so much stuff and had such a good tidy up. I'm really proud of my dad. He's done so well. He's had such a good attitude. I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.